The grind was an absolute waste. And it only pays off for those who are lucky. Like maybe you were born rich. Maybe they were born rich. You and I, we weren't born rich. You know, I've come to disagree with that. I've come to disagree that the grind that we have spent the last 2, 3 decades just slogging through is only going to pay off for the lucky. I think that it's going to pay off. It's going to pay off for those with the right education, the right ideas, the right framework. Let me talk about this for a minute. When I started my job as a driving instructor, I was not a good driving instructor. No, and and I struggled like just crazy, and it took me years to get to a place where I could actually be useful to the student, because that's I wanted to be useful to the student. I wanted to be useful to my boss. These are the two things that I really wanted. And yet when I got in the car and I was teaching the student, man, talk about delivering the bare minimum, absolute bare minimum. I and and man, this is so real. I couldn't I couldn't give the student more than just barely. Year after year, I kept grinding at that job, just grinding at it, and talk about making mistakes and getting things wrong. And man, my boss had to go above and beyond. Actually, straight up, there were people in that company that were trying to get me to quit because I was struggling so much. It took me 6 years. 6 years. Holy crap. Before I became a teacher that had anything to offer. And I'd say about another 6 years, 7 years. I wasn't keeping track of the time. Maybe it was 5 years. But there was a point where all that grinding, all that frustration finally paid off into something, because I found that I was able to understand the students way better. And I was able to, when a student got into my car, I did not need the notes that some other teacher had written on that student. I could read that student and I knew what they needed within minutes of engaging with that student. I knew what they needed. And I found that when with my students I got from the very first day, and I would see them all the way through all of their driving classes, I never needed notes. I just didn't need them. So I never took them. I never took notes on the students. I knew who they were because I could always remember where they lived, and oh yeah, this is that student, that's this student. And all that work that I did, I was able to draw from that and get and do something good with it. And I'm thinking about, what about the grinding when you've got like just you're just you've just been grinding at a job you hate. I actually liked teaching driving. I spent way too many hours per day doing it. I actually like that. But what about when you don't like the job? And man, I remember meeting this truck driver who had spent 35 years driving as a truck driver, and I very naively, and I was trying to be nice, say to him, "Oh, you must really enjoy your job." And Buddy's like, "Nah, I hate it." I was actually kind of shocked. I'm like, why would you do a job that you can't stand? I didn't comprehend that. Of course, you get this happens like you've got to get a job, you've got to pay bills, it has to happen, and so you get stuck in some kind of just job, and the job turns into your career. Al Bundy, it's comedy, but like he got a job as a shoe salesman at this store in as a teenager, and he just never left, and he couldn't get into anything else. And learning something more when it comes comes to this grind, and how I was able to draw upon that. What about the jobs that people hate? One of the things that I've become convinced about when it comes to God is God doesn't prevent. He doesn't make our lives perfect or anything like that. But God is a master of taking garbage and turning it into gold. Here's what I'm thinking. We've hit a brick wall and we've crashed out, and we're struggling and all that kind of stuff. And we got these garbage jobs. And right now I'm thinking about that man that's just pushing bloody hard, just trying to hold on. And they think to themselves, that man will think to himself, what the heck is all this for? And I think that God is going to reach into that and pull from that gold. You and I, we went through the years of working our asses off and just working like crazy hard. We have a perspective on life that no 20-year-old will ever be able to have. And now when you're searching for information, you're searching to start making changes in your life, you'll be able to draw upon those experiences to filter out garbage. The 20-year-old does not have that advantage. Like when I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, I had the perspective of the man who's been doing like barely making it for 30 years. Like I get that perspective. So when that father was, or whatever, that father was teaching the young man, the boys, here's how life works. I'm like, that daddy was totally right. I knew what he was talking about. And when I listen to Daryl Eves and he talks about how to do YouTube and stuff like that, I know what he's talking about. I can draw upon all my years of experience, and I think the same is for you. And I'm not talking positive talk like, ooh, let's just, always. I mean, it's so cliche, but that the cup is half full kind of thing. It's like, okay, but fine, but I need more. Those years of experience, man, they're not freaking wasted. They're not wasted. God is going to. Okay, I'm going to say God's going to turn gold and out of the garbage. But check this out. Check this out. What about you and I? Like, we're not God. So what do we do with this? I think that what we need to start doing is finding in those years of experience, in those years of work, all that grind, and start pulling from that wisdom. Wisdom to guide us into a better future. So it wouldn't be like, oh, we're going to go back and now we're going to do everything the same way we did it before. Obviously not. But it's like, when I needed a car, I decided to get into debt. And I thought I'll pay that car off. And all I ended up finding out is that I'm in debt forever. The debt never ends. So from now on, when I go to buy a car, it's cash or nothing at all. Right? That might be a lesson. That's kind of a lesson I'm taking right now. It's like, I don't want debt ever again. I freaking grinded and grinded and grinded. And I'm like, no, I'm never doing that again. So when all of a sudden I'm reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad and Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the author says that a house is actually not an asset. It's a liability. I can see what he's talking about. And I'm like, yeah, I get that. Boss, your years of work, man, those years of grinding, one, you have gained skills. Like you know a lot of bloody stuff, but you've also got so much experience that you can draw upon for wisdom. So in this next chapter, in this next stage of your life, and all of a sudden you're like, I'm not doing life that way no more. Yeah, and you can draw upon that to guide you and to be a part of the information and knowledge that's going to guide you to a better day. That wasn't wasted, man. No, damn, no, it was not wasted. Your years of grind have value in them. Even if you're not going to repeat that mess again, there is value in it for you. You take care, man. God bless. Bye for now.